Hey, and welcome back to Arete Mountain Life, where we adventure, build, and explore. So today we're going to be going through and chopping a bunch of firewood here. Sometimes I find myself watching firewood cutting on YouTube and I think, what am I doing? I can do this at home and need to. But also, I enjoy watching it for some weird reason, so maybe you will too. Enjoy. This is what I have left over from last season, which is not too bad. It means I can cut and split enough for the last year. We're going to try to cut through this pile. We'll cut through some of it at least, kind of show you what that process looks like. We usually go through 5 cords in a winter, maybe 4, something like that, just depending on the winter. We have a fairly efficient stove and then also a pretty well sealed up house at this point. I just put in new windows and siding and resealed and air sealed the whole house and stuff. It actually traps in heat pretty good. But anyways, join us today as we cut some firewood and hopefully you enjoy it. So this thing here is called a pickeroon, and it's super helpful when it comes down to doing that. You can move logs nice and easy with it. And I do actually split all of my wood by hand every year. People make a big deal out of it like it's super hard, but as long as you space it out over time, it really didn't take that much. So some of you are probably watching this and going, oh, this is cottonwood, it's terrible. You're correct, it's kind of terrible. But it burns all right, and as long as you're cleaning your chimney, cleaning out your stack pretty quickly, it's not bad. It does build up a lot of creosote, but ants are driving me crazy. It does build up a lot of creosote, but as long as you're cleaning out your chimney, it's not a huge deal. You know, it's what we have around here is cottonwood, ponderosa pine, and pinion pine is a little bit of juniper is what I end up burning, just because of what we have around here. This mauler is just a 12-pound giant hunk of steel welded together. Works pretty good. So wood is actually the primary heat source for our home. We do have a propane heater that we use when we're gone for maybe 2 weeks or so in the entire winter. But the rest of the year we do actually heat with wood. And we are what I call semi to mostly off-grid. We have an off-grid battery system as well, and it is grid hybrid. So we can pull from the grid a little bit, but 80 to 85% of the time we are using only solar power as well. So we do our very best to be completely off the grid as much as possible. And I know I did ask for it before, but if you could please like and subscribe. We are at almost 100 subscribers. I'd love to get to that number and then get to that lucky number 1,000 here at some point. These trips and everything do cost some money, so it'd be great if we could make even just a few bucks here and there. We enjoy making the content, but if you could help us out, that would be great. Doesn't cost you anything, it really helps us. Appreciate it. This juniper wood is super cool. It has like this purple core in the middle of it. This one's rotted out in the middle, but usually the whole thing's purple. So if you've ever cut pinion pine for firewood before, you know that there are just some knots that just do not want to come undone. So that's what happened here with a couple of these ones. Burns pretty nice, but it really can be sticky sometimes. So people sometimes wonder, why do we heat our house with wood in the winter, especially when we do have a propane heater? And the answer is, I don't know, it's fairly simple, but I really do enjoy chopping wood. It's just a way to, stay in shape and have something to do. The second thing is I really enjoy the fact that it's super simple. It's hard for an iron box to fail, and we have wood around here. The third reason is it's a whole lot cheaper than burning a bunch of propane or even natural gas. So it works for us and we enjoy it. Here's that cool juniper purple wood on the inside. This video does take place over the course of a few days, so it just gives you an idea of how I spread that out over the summer and even going into the fall just before winter. So I might be the first person since 1907 to negotiate a load of firewood for my severance package in addition to the other things, which is awesome. But anyways, I'm gonna go load up a huge thing of firewood because we heat our house with a wood stove, and we have a bunch of firewood at my now current, but soon to be former employer. So I'm doing that today. So leaving a place where you've invested a lot of time and energy is always a hard thing, it really is. But the reality is that they didn't need the skill set that I brought to the table anymore. The place had shifted and changed a little bit, and no hard feelings either way. I'm actually going to go ahead and pursue more running our own business with my wife and doing a little bit of handyman stuff and building some more tiny houses. So if you'd like to see more of that in the future, let me know down in the comments. That'd be great to hear. But I do plan on filming at least some of that, and hope you enjoy that content as well. I've worked really hard over the years to create this life out in the mountains in a place that I love. And I guess I just always remember, or try to remember, to never take it for granted. Always work hard and always make sure that I'm actually remembering how great of a place it is to live. Well, I'm always terrible at gauging how many cords this is exactly, but what I can say for certain is it's plenty for a winter or two. Certainly for my house, just how efficient the stove is and how small the upstairs portion of the house is and how it heats. So that should be good. Glad I'm able to have some firewood, and having it pre-blocked well over a decade, and it's never happened that I've had pre-blocked firewood, so that should be a lot faster to split than my usual. Well, it's been a few months since I've worked on firewood, but as you can see, it's about that time. We're gonna get one of our bigger snowstorms coming out this weekend, so just gonna try to work through this pile. So I debated even making this video at all because I thought, who would want to watch me chop firewood for whatever 15 minutes? But the reality is I made this channel partially just to kind of show like the whole of our life in the mountains. This is Arete mountain life. We do all these different things out here, and maybe a little bit non-traditional in the modern world, much more traditional in the world of the past, I suppose. But this is the way we live, and this is part of our life, so I wanted to share that with you. Hopefully you enjoy it, and sort of see the effort and work it takes. It doesn't take tons and tons, but it does take a little bit of thinking and a little bit of planning to make all this happen. I probably committed a video faux pas in overusing the time-lapse feature on this video. However, I think it's super cool to watch the clouds and the mountains in the background. It's just kind of a cool way to see the weather moving and shifting in place. Well, we're back at it chopping wood again, and it's the first decent snow that's sticking of the year. Got a pile still. For reference, it's probably, I don't know, 4.5 feet tall. We've got a pretty decent stack in here so far, and may even have a first fire of the year here soon. So we're gonna start chopping some more wood. I realize that I am almost certainly in the minority in this opinion, but I love winter. I love snow, especially out here in Colorado. It's really dry and just kind of enjoyable. But also it reminds me of sort of the struggle that it takes to stay warm, to make life feel real and whole and concrete. In the modern world, we don't always get that necessarily. It's really nice to be able to have something concrete that you see your labor and your work turn into something that is an actual physical warmth for you and your family. So I built this storage shed a few years ago on the back of my shed. It's been pretty good so far. I would say usually about 2 of these full stacks would get us through a decent winter. If it's a really rough cold winter, maybe another half, maybe a full stack, but either way, there's at least 1 season's worth of firewood in here. Maybe 1.5 to 2 depending on the year. Granted, we run our house quite a bit colder than a lot of people do. I think my children are like impervious to cold or something. We keep ours in the mid to low 60s most of the time, just it's more comfortable that way. Well, it is finally that time of the year where we're gonna have our first fire of the year. I've got the puppy with me. It's her first fire she's gonna have. There's lots of ways to do this, but I used to start everything from scratch, and I used to think I was only gonna do it that way forever. And then I got a double burner MAP gas torch, and I never went back. So this is the way to go. What I like to do though for a setup, everyone's got their own way of doing it. This is what works for me. I like to have a nice base and then actually do a log cabin sort of style. I have a bunch of medium-sized kindling stuff that I use first. And I also use these, what we call the cheater starters, which are amazing. Just takes most of the guesswork and messing with it out of it. Just kind of make a nice little log cabin. And you want to let this burn for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes or so is usually what it takes to really get it going. Then I put a little bit heavier logs on there. Just use a sparker. Emmy's a little bit scared of the torch. So as you can see, smoke starts coming out. So what you want to do is kind of just keep this loosely open. At least that's what I do. It's nice having this glass on the front and we can see it from our bed. It's really pretty cool. And then you want to leave your damper open, and then you leave the flue open so that all the smoke can go up to the top. A lot of times too, you want to precondition your stovepipe so that all the air ends up drafting upwards and you don't get the smoke coming back in here. I'm gonna let this run about 15-20 minutes or so till it really catches and really burns. Then we'll put some bigger logs on there. So we've got this cool glass wood stove next to this fire rack we had welded up. And it's got some soapstone inside. It really heats the place up well. Well, it's been a little bit of time here and it's catching nicely at this point. Once I get it down to a nice coal and there's really hot embers in here, We'll close up this flue, have this completely closed up, might even close up the dampener. Well, if you like the content, go ahead and like and subscribe. My name's Jordan, and this is Arete Mountain Life. We appreciate you staying with us. Thanks.